What's happening, beautiful people of the TechSource channel? Welcome back to another Setup Wars video, the show where we show off some of the best and coolest setups that your eyeballs have ever seen. If you want to be a part of the show, then consider submitting your setup. To learn how to enter, watch the video link down below. Also, the person with the worst setup from episode 210 was actually a tie between Anthony and Ben. So I had you guys vote on a tiebreaker. And ladies and gentlemen, the person who officially has the worst setup from episode 210 is Anthony with the styrofoam and bucket setup. Not only does that person get to take home $200 in cash, but more importantly, they get to take home this sweet, beautiful toilet trophy, custom engraved on the bottom with the episode number and their name, and it could also be signed by yours truly, TechSource, on the back. This was actually from episode 200, but unfortunately, I can't ship it to this country yet because of COVID. Otherwise, I have to spend like $300 for shipping, so that's great. But yeah, if you're watching this video, consider tossing an email to setupwarsprizes@gmail.com to claim your money and possibly your beautiful plaque that you can display on your setup. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax because it's time for Setup Wars. Take your gaming anywhere with the world's fastest portable gaming monitor. The ROG Strix XG17 sports a 240Hz refresh rate and a 3 millisecond response time on a 17-inch Full HD IPS display. With built-in 7800 mAh battery and USB-C quick charging, you can enjoy hours of on-the-go use without interruption. The ROG Strix XG17 also makes an awesome secondary display to your laptop or desktop setup via micro HDMI or USB-C connection. To learn more, click the link below. Kicking off the episode is Armand from Chicago, Illinois, and his epic custom setup that he calls Chain Reaction. The desk was custom made that took him 40 hours to build by hand. It's actually made out of pine wood and chains and measures 6 feet long with a 32-inch depth. At first, I thought the entire desk was being supported by the wall because how can chains support a desk? Gravity will make them collapse, but I soon realized that those chains are actually welded together in order to support the massive tabletop. Armand is rocking triple 24-inch Acer monitors that he hooked up against the desk with a monitor mount. Now, since he isn't a gamer, he doesn't really own any gaming gear. That's why he's using a Thermaltake membrane keyboard and an ergonomic vertical mouse. But he does have an RGB mousepad to add a bit of color to the setup. For audio, he's using 2 sets of Amazon speakers that he split up evenly in the back, and he's also got a gaming headset. He specifically designed the desk with a hollow inside, that way he can route all the cables from his gear, which is very clever. Everything runs through the desk and out the attached drawer on the left side where his pre-built PC is. The entire setup is being powered by a Lenovo desktop with a Core i3 processor. I think what Armand built here is really exciting and unique. That's definitely one of the boxes he checked off for the seal of approval, along with symmetry and cable management. But sadly, I think it ends there. I just feel like everything else in the setup is quite underwhelming when compared to the awesome desk he made. He says he builds this desk for clients and charges $4,500. So when you take an expensive desk like that and you put cheap gear on it, like a membrane keyboard and a Chinese off-brand gaming headset, I can't help but feel disappointed. This setup has so much potential to knock my socks off and get that seal of approval, but it's just missing the execution. On top of that, he's mixing 2 separate styles together that don't really work well. You know, we got that rustic industrial aesthetic from the desk mixed with budget RGB gaming peripherals. Look, I get that you don't use this setup for gaming, but you could have built a dope looking productivity setup instead. You didn't have to go with cheap budget gaming gear just because you think everyone likes RGB. Such a wasted opportunity to really stand out from the crowd, but either way, the desk is awesome. Thanks for entering and sharing this with us. Up next is Caesar from the Dominican Republic and his super clean setup that he uses for gaming and design. What stands out from this setup to me is the perfect balance between white and black. I think Caesar did an awesome job keeping the contrast consistent throughout the setup. He mounted his 35-inch ultra-wide to the wall with a white raceway covering the cables going down. He also put all of his audio gear on wall shelves, both speakers and gaming headset, but I feel like the wall shelf holding the headset was a bit unnecessary as it doesn't really provide any function. The wall shelves holding the speakers, on the other hand, were a great idea. However, I would recommend using these isolation pads to tilt the speakers a bit down so that they are facing your ears. For peripherals, Caesar is using a Fantech Eclipse semi-mechanical keyboard and the Corsair M65 mouse with 2 mouse pads. And other than his wireless charger, he doesn't really have anything else on the desk. He kept everything very minimal. When I first looked at his PC, I was kind of disappointed that he didn't stick with the white and black color scheme, but then I saw the keyboard colors and realized that he was going with pink and blue accents to give the setup some color. It's a really clean and simplistic setup, but it could use a bit of personalization to make it stand out. Thank you, Caesar, for entering. Speaking of personalization, Dugan setup from Texas has a lot of it. He built that massive desk by hand, and I can't help but get that in the woods Elmer Fudd vibe with all of those ducks he has in this setup. He says he uses the setup for pretty much everything from game development to 3D modeling, artwork, entertainment, and of course gaming. He's got 2 24-inch monitors stacked on top of a 35-inch, and below that we got the Corsair K70 keyboard and an ergonomic mouse from Anker. You know, I'll be the first to mention that none of his gear really goes with the rustic cabin in the woods vibe of this setup at all, but I will give Dugan some creativity points on the desk. Everything was handmade to take advantage of cable management and storage. There are open drawers that he built on the desk to keep items in, like his printer and some air dusters. He even built a section to house his custom PC off to the far left side. We got the 5930K in here with the MSI GTX 980 Ti. For audio, he does use Genius surround sound speakers and the HyperX Cloud Flight headset for gaming. I'll also be the first to say that this setup lacks any type of synergy, uniformity, or consistency for that matter, but it is unique with lots of personality. That much I know. And the fact that Dugan built that entire desk from scratch is impressive just by itself. Thank you for entering. Coming in at number 4 is Jafar from Washington, Seattle, and his epic gaming room. Now, when I first read his occupation, I automatically thought he was going to have a boring productivity setup, but holy Moses, was I surprised. He has his PC setup on one side and an entertainment on the other. So the PC setup is built on top of an IKEA Linman with 2 Alex drawers as support, and we also got some cabinet legs for that added separation. He mostly uses the PC setup for studying since it is powered by a 13-inch MacBook. Who says you can't have both MacBook and gaming in one room? He's got that hooked up to a 27-inch Lenovo display with wireless peripherals. We got the iClever BK10 keyboard and G602 mouse. Now, he doesn't have any main audio source for the setup, so he shares his Razer Kraken Pro's PewDiePie edition between both setups. Now, the entertainment setup is more for kicking back and watching movies and console gaming with either his Xbox One or the PlayStation 4 that he keeps under his 65-inch 4K TV. This is gonna sound weird, but I'm really liking the way he displayed his Funko Pop collection. I've always seen these on single shelves. Not only does he have them stored in glass shelves with RGB spotlighting, but he's using acrylic riser displays so that he can fit more of them in each shelf. This is a really efficient way of displaying collectibles without taking any extra space. It's weird that I'm even pointing that out, but for some odd reason, I'm digging it. I think that Jafar did a really great job furnishing and personalizing his setup with ambient lighting. The man's got a popcorn machine next to his bed with a fridge filled with Gatorade to refuel and some snacks. This might seem a bit off topic though, but why doesn't your bed have a duvet or comforter? You do live in Seattle where it's always cold and raining. Surely you get cold at nights. But anyways, you got a pretty cool man cave in your bedroom. I think you did an excellent job on the lighting and decoration, and you got tons of things to keep you entertained throughout this quarantine. Thank you for entering. Wrapping up the episode is JV from Sin City, Las Vegas, and his gorgeous ultra-wide setup. He is a registered nurse, and this is the setup he uses for gaming and photography. It appears that he built 2 setups side by side, judging by this shot, but sadly I don't have any pictures of his second setup. However, it does look very similar to his previous setup from episode 116, which was exactly 3 years ago today. Since then, he has made some nice improvements. He replaced the 32-inch Samsung monitor that he had with a 34-inch ultrawide from Asus that he mounted against the wall, and he even picked up new peripherals. He's now got the Cooler Master SK630 low-profile keyboard and Logitech G903 wireless mouse on top of an extended RGB mousepad, which he drilled a hole into to hide the cables. The audio gear is mostly the same. He's still using the Logitech G933 gaming headset, but he brought over his Yamaha speakers from his music production setup to replace his Bose companion speakers. He mounted them up top on speaker stands and used white raceways to hide the cables going down. Job well done. We can also see that he used more raceways underneath the desk to channel and hide the cables between both setups. Overall, great work. The biggest upgrade I would say from his previous setup is that now he has a custom PC instead of the pre-built iBuyPower. He built himself a sweet looking rig inside the Leonly Dynamic XL case. With that said, there are a few questionable choices in the build. The first being that you are cooling the 7700K with a single 120mm AIO instead of a 240 or even a 360, which the case can easily support. Second, why did you go with a mini ITX motherboard when the case can support up to an eATX board? With that small form factor, you are really limiting yourself with future upgradability and features. But other than that, I think it's a great build and I'm digging the retro color scheme you got going on. Overall, you've made some really nice improvements from your previous setup. Thank you again for being a part of the show and congrats on your marriage, by the way. So that is it for this video. As always, let me know which of these setups was your favorite in the comment section down below. Also, before you head out, consider dropping a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you're new here, consider subscribing because I do host setup wars every single Monday. I love your beautiful thick thighs. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.